All right, so I am going to begin creating a realistic face, a portrait, and I'm just going to be using a pencil here. My advice is draw light until you get it right. So you want a pencil, you definitely going to need an eraser for this assignment. So if your pencil has one, good. If not, you can share one of the bigger ones that are in class. So we need to start drawing a face, thinking about the shape of a face. So the shape of a face is not a circle, it is an oval. More specifically, it is an egg. But I actually am going to start with a circle. So if you want to be fancy, you can use a compass or you can just freestyle your circle. This is all just practice that we're doing here. So I'm going to just freestyle because that's the way I roll. Notice how lightly I made that. You really do want to draw light. Now I'm going to press a little harder just so you can see it on the camera. If I was doing this for my project though, I wouldn't be pressing this hard. Okay, and I am going to go ahead and make a dot in the center of this circle. Now, if you want to be really technical with this, you could measure your circle and you could find the halfway point and you could make a dot if you wanted to do that. I'm good with just kind of eyeballing it. All right, so you have that dot there. And what you want to do is you want to take the dot to the outside of the circle, this length right here. You take that, scooch it down. Again, if you want to be technical, you can measure. So for me, this is about 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. And I make my mark. Or if you want to be a little more free-flowing, just use your fingers. Okay, now at this point right down here, this is going to be your chin. So you want to make like a little curved scoop line there. And then what we do, very lightly, I'm going to do some sketchy marks, and I'm going to connect that chin up to the side of my circle. And once I feel I got it where I want it, then I can go ahead and erase this bottom part of my original circle that I drew. Okay, so now I have an egg. Pretty cool. You want to take your ruler after you make your egg and cut your egg in half. Do this very lightly, because you will erase this. And you want to cut your egg in half horizontally as well. And again, I'm eyeballing it. Roughly around there. Very light, very light. After you cut your egg in half vertically and horizontally, here's what we're going to do. You are going to cut your egg into more sections. So you want to pretend this is the top of your egg to the bottom of your egg and cut this portion in half. If you want to measure, go ahead and measure. Okay? And then now cut from here to the bottom of your egg in half. All right. Now it is set up and ready to go for us. So what we need to do is draw eyes, nose, and mouth. And we have to get them in the right spot. So I start with the eyes. Your eyes are halfway down your face. Do not draw eyes way up here. That means we have eyes on our forehead. Eyes are halfway down. They're lower than you think they are. When you draw an eye, you want to think how wide to make it. So the general rule of thumb is the egg, your face, is 5 eyes wide. So you have like an imaginary eye, a real eye, imaginary eye, real eye, imaginary eye. So what I do is I actually start here in the center, and I just very lightly kind of figure out the width of what an eye might be. So for me, it might be like 2 fingers wide maybe. And if I kind of use that as a measuring point, I think I'm pretty good actually. So again, 5 eyes wide. This section would be an imaginary eye that we're not going to see. This is where I will draw my real eye. Imaginary eye, real eye, imaginary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 eyes wide. So an eye is a football. So I am going to just make like a little hill in between these 2 little dash marks. and then a little scoop like that. When you make a football shape, do not go real high with your hill and then real low with your scoop. Then it looks like an oval. You want just a tiny hill, a little rainbow, and then like a little smile. Football or a lemon, however you see it. Do the same thing on the other side. Your eyes will most likely not be the exact same shape. That's normal. Get them as close as you can. Okay, so I have two footballs. Inside these footballs, you want to create the iris. The iris is the colored part of your eye, and you want to create the pupil. That is the black part of your eye. Here's what I see a lot that kids do. They make the iris, they make the pupil. The problem here, this eye looks like it's a very surprised eye. I can see the whites of the eyes above the iris and below it. So what I like to do is I like to start here at the top and make my iris come down. Now, for some people, it's going to hit the bottom of the football. For some, it won't. Depends on like how big the person's eyes are that it is you're drawing. But so I make my circle shape and I don't actually connect it at the top. Unevenness, so I'm just going to tidy that up a little bit. It's a little better. Not perfect, but a little better. All right, now inside here, you want to create your pupil. And this can change in size depending on how much light is in the space that you're in. And I like to go ahead and just shade those in nice and dark. And then I always like to draw a little circle next to the pupil, and that's that real little reflection in your eye. Now, I'm going to go ahead and shade in a little bit here because I see a lot of children make a mistake when the time comes to color or shade. The iris, that is the colored part of your eye, so that needs to have a little bit of shading to it. Now I'm going to leave that little white dot alone, but I'm going to shade in that, and I like to give my iris a little darker of an outline. I leave the whites of my eyes alone. You don't want to shade those in because they need to look lighter than your iris. Now, if we want to get all technical, the whites of the eyes are technically kind of a gray. They're not pure white, but that's for a little later. And then I do like to give a little bit of shading just under the eyelid all the way across because the eyelid hovers over our eyes. Eyelid, you draw a curved line above your eye. Eyelashes, here's what I see a lot. Don't do this. This is too stiff. It looks like a bug of some type. So when you do eyelashes, you want to scoop them out and like to the diagonal a little bit. And let them kind of go in a natural direction. They don't need to be perfect. And then I let them get smaller as I get closer to the inside corner of my eye. Now for the bottoms of the eyes, I do kind of the same thing, but then I let them fade as they move in closer. Because generally our bottom eyelashes are just a little shorter. Okay, eyebrow. So if I go up above my eye, make a curved line. I'm going to show you just two different ways. So you could just make like a curved French fry shape and shade that in. Or if you want to show the strands of hair that are in the eyebrow, what I do is I really lightly kind of sketch out where the eyebrow will be, and then I start actually drawing the strands of hair. So they start going up, then they start diagonal going to the corner, and then they start moving their way down like towards your ear. So once I get a few of those in, then I just go back and add more to fill in the empty space. All right. So that's essentially eyes. Now, for nose, we're going to need our ruler again. You want to go to the inside corner of the eye, make a straight line to this first horizontal line here. Do it for both eyes. And then a nose, it's very simple, my friends. This is the simplest way I know how to teach it. Draw a letter U, draw back or a letter C, backwards letter C. Are there more complicated ways to make a nose? You betcha. But to keep it simple for practice, you draw a letter U right here. The letter U should not go below this line. It needs to touch that line because the nose is halfway from your eyes to your chin. And then over here, you make your letter C, your backwards letter C. Bada bing, bada boom, you have a nose. And then you can go ahead and erase those lines there. Now, for the mouth, you want to line your ruler up to the middle of your eye. Draw lightly a line to that bottom horizontal line. So it kind of looks like you're crying. And this is where the lips belong, in between these two lines. Now for lips, you want to think like two mountains, but we don't need to be like woo, 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 like a big letter M. You want to think like you're crawling up the mountain. You get to the top, you go down a little, go up another one, and then we're going to make our way back down. Okay? And then you connect these two lines. And there is generally, for the most part, a little scoop right here. And then another just scoop for the bottom lip. Now lips are tricky because some people have really thin lips, some people have bigger lips. So it depends on the type of person you want to be drawing here, but for the most part, this is kind of how it goes. Now, I've seen this two ways when you draw a portrait. You can use this line to separate the lips, like that. Or I've seen this line be used as like the bottom of the lip. So I think it depends on how you drew your piece. If it makes more sense to have that line be the middle, then do that. If it makes more sense for this, then do that. So I think for this portrait that I'm designing here, I think I want this line to go ahead and separate the lips. And I'm just making a neutral face. We're not smiling, we're not frowning, just a very neutral face. All right, once you have the lips, you can go ahead and erase the line connecting it to the eyes. And now we want to do ears. So ears are going to live between this line and this line. And all you do is scoop up, scoop back down. Scoop up, scoop back down. Your neck is actually quite large. What I see a lot of students do, if this is the face, pretend that's a face, they give me these itsy bitsy baby necks with these itsy bitsy baby shoulders. And that's just not going to work out. Your neck is actually quite large because it has to support your whole face. So I start here at the ear. I follow the egg a little bit, curve it in, and then curve it back out. You want it to have a nice soft curve. And then for shoulders, shoulders are very wide. We don't just have like these little baby shoulders. So this portrait here, I don't even know if I'll be able to show all of the shoulder. It's probably going to go off the page. This one may be a little more because I wasn't totally center. But notice again how this is a curve. It's not like a straight angle. We aren't built like that. We don't have those sharp angles in our bodies. And then go ahead and just, give yourself a shirt to wear, or whoever this is you're drawing, give them a shirt to wear. Alrighty, now hair is hard for me to teach because everybody has different styles of hair, but in general, depending on the hairstyle, the hair is going to typically start right around here. If you start it way back here, then it does look like the person is balding, and this is all a bunch of forehead. So like if I'm drawing, let's pretend this is me. You guys kind of know what I look like if you're in my class. This is where I would like make the part of my hair, and this would come down depending on how I'm wearing my hair that day, right? So you guys know I have really thick, kind of wavy hair. Notice how I went above my egg to draw the hair. Typically that's how it's going to go, and then I actually will erase the top of my egg. So then it looks a little more natural. Now, we do not need to be drawing every single strand of hair at this moment. You can get into that as you grow as an artist. I really want you to think almost just like get the general shape of the hair down, and then if you feel Like you can start adding a little bit of strands here and there and following the direction of the hair, then feel free to do that. But I'm not looking for that really right now. All right, so once that's all done, there is your practice of how to draw a face. So you can go ahead and erase like all these guidelines. And there you go. That's how to draw a portrait with realistic proportions. So everything's in the right place and everything is the right size.